welcome back to Passion Tea, the channel for self-love, shenanigans, and whatnot. Again, I am Tay'Laur, and if you haven't met me before, then hello, I'm Tay'Laur, but you can call me Tay. So on this episode, I wanted to talk about that 90's show. It came out like a week or so ago. I had spent all of last week watching it, rewatching it, watching it again, even watching it with my sister. So I finally wanted to talk about it, and it's been a minute since I talked about any movies like off of my blog after like a year or so. It's been like almost a year, but I'm ready to get back into it because I still love talking pop culture, even responding to other people's opinions about it, because what I've seen about that 90's show so far. Oh, okay, let's rewind. So if anyone isn't a fan, or it doesn't have Netflix, or has been disconnected or living under a rock, any one of those, that 90's show is a sequel show to that 70's show, which came on in 98 and ended in 2006. I didn't really get into that 70's show until I was in high school, and a friend of mine told me that he was watching that 70's show, and I had seen previews of it like on the N, when the N was still popular. Oh my gosh, showing my age. But when the N was still popular, that 70's show reruns would run on the N. After I watched the first few episodes, I was hit. I was obsessed. I got my two sisters into it and my younger brother. We all love that show now. I have it even right up here in my collection because before Peacock, I wasn't sure when it was gonna come back on streaming services ever since Netflix fucking took it off. Makes sense as to why they didn't want to have anything to do with it on the streaming service. But however, as a fan, I was really mad because it had been on Netflix for forever, and I'm just like, why the fuck would y'all take that 70's show off Netflix? Back to that 90's show. That 90's show is the sequel show to that 70's show. It centers around their daughter Leia. She comes to visit Kitty and Red, Eric's parents, for the summer, and basically spends the whole summer vacation with them, and it gets into a bunch of that 70's show like shenanigans with her new friends. Gwen lives next door in Donna's apartment with her brother Nate and her mother Sherry. She's very much the Bob and Midge like character, very much out of the box, doesn't know what she's doing half of the time. Not really sure how I feel about her 100%. There are a couple of others that are involved in the gang. One particular I want to name, but I feel like it might be a spoiler. It's not exactly a spoiler though, because it happens in the first episode, but it is kind of a surprise, so I think I'm gonna leave that. But then there's Nate's girlfriend, who he and his girlfriend are now like the new Michael and Jackie. Another character that I really liked, Ozzy. He's kind of like the Fez, I think, a little bit. He's kind of like the Fez a little bit, but he's not a foreign exchange student. He is very much hilarious though. I really thought that the show was really cute. It gives off very much that 70's show. I really like the actress who plays Eric and Donna's daughter. I think she very much embodies both of them, very much has Eric's personality, and so far she's very tall, she's very tall like Donna, very like, not even masculine like Donna, but because she's tall and she plays sports, I feel like she comes off like Donna in that point of view. It is only the first season, and it only has 10 episodes compared to that 70's show that had like 20 episodes a season. Gwen and Ozzy, I feel like they're my favorite so far. Ozzy to me is the funniest. And Gwen I appreciate because she's like the Hyde-ish character, and she has funny moments. She has a cute funny moments. What I feel like a lot of people have been saying so far, I have seen like some favors and that it's cute, but a lot of people who are against that 90's show are saying that it's too like Disney-like. Not sure if they mean like corny like a sitcom, but I mean, sitcoms are corny, so they're gonna come off that way. I can see kind of sort of what they mean about Disney, but it really doesn't come off like that because it's not like super clean. Like, a lot of people don't remember that a lot of that 70's show's jokes are very offensive. You cannot like get away with doing those same jokes now. So I feel like if it doesn't come off like as the same that 70's show vibe, then people are gonna just brush it off as something corny or Disney, and I'm like, well, That 70's Show was corny to begin with because all sitcoms have a sense of corniness to them. So I reject the cancellation or dismissal of that 90's Show of it just being, oh, too Disney or corny. So they decided to keep Wilmer, who I wanted to see Fez, but yes, he does have a history. Like, Wilmer Valderrama does have a history of dating younger women, and I'm just like, no. So if they took him off the show, I would just have to understand. They decided to keep off Danny Masterson, who was way more understandable because of his Scientology sexual assault trials going on right now. I definitely would not want to see him back on the show, even though his character was one of the funniest. Everyone who I got to see, I appreciated. I would have wanted to see a little bit more of one certain cameo that came in the first episode, but you know, I don't know. I got to see everybody, so it counts. The group has the certain gang vibe, but just not as, you know, super bad, because I feel like even then, like, just the definition of friendship on sitcoms was very much like, what kind of friends are these? Like, a lot of these friend groups came off as shitty friends. And I feel like this group didn't come off as shitty friends, but they were honest, you know, when it came to it, or when they needed to be. Was a certain amount of 90's nostalgia. They didn't pack it in too much, which was very appreciated, and had like transitions, how they used to like have like those quirky psychedelic transitions that they had in that 70's Show. They even had some like 90's version in that 90's Show, which I really appreciated, like when it came down to the details. Of course, the show had to center around Kitty and Red's basement in Eric's home, and just having Kitty and Red as the background characters just as they were in that 70's Show. And I love them. I just love them. I love that their cute little dynamic as a married couple. Red is still like on his foot in the ass dynamic, and that shit is always funny, especially to where everyone who was on the show before already knows that as a thing. So they're just like, yeah, we know, we've heard it before. And maybe so are we. Some of us are like, oh yeah, he's exactly the same as he was, and he is, and he's still funny. Love Kitty too. Kitty also has some lines in there, and she always did, especially when it came to her and Red, because Red was the funniest because he was just very no nonsense and came off himself all the time. But Kitty has some shit in there, and she has some shit in this season, so I really appreciated having them back and having them and their same dynamic as like mentors. Kitty always did have like some hidden comedy moments in there, especially when it came to her and Red, because Red was the funniest because he was just very no nonsense and came off himself all the time. But Kitty had some shit in there, and she has some shit in this season, so I really appreciated having them back and having them and their same dynamic as like mentors. And now they're mentoring Leia instead of Eric. So what's sour? I feel like I wish that I could have seen a little bit more cameos. I don't know if that's just me being greedy because of the fact that I loved that 70's Show and I just want to see the cast like interact together, but really don't see much interacting this season. I don't know if that's a spoiler or just like I just feel like anybody who wants to see them like all together, I don't want to disappoint you, but I feel like I should warn you because I don't want you going into the whole season expecting that and then that being like your main disappointment, because it's not there. So there is a little bit of interaction. There's not as much as we would want to see. Maybe they just wanted to give us a taste so that more would come in the second season. And I'm sure they wanted to give the young cast like their own chance, which I completely understand. It's just us as nostalgia freaks who were taking in that 90's Show and past fans of that 70's Show who just want to see the cast older and interacting together. Again, I really don't have much to say about, or much that I didn't like, because I felt like they weren't trying to do too much. I do have some sours though. Mostly those include spoilers, so I'm probably gonna have a separate video. I personally do not like spoilers, so I'm not going to spoil it here for you. I'm gonna just do a separate video with spoilers. Sour spoilers. So sour spoilers that I wanted to get into. One of the biggest things that I didn't like, that is just, you know, just to connect that 70's Show and that 90's Show together, is that is that Kelso was supposed to have or had a daughter, and like the last few of the seasons he got Brooke pregnant. Like, remember that librarian? He got her pregnant. He ended up having a daughter named Brooke, and that was supposed to help, you know, teach him how to not be as misogynist as he was, I'm sure. He was already trying to learn that stepping into like dad mode. So the one thing that I didn't like is that 90's show doesn't involve Brooke. Like, Brooke is not a character. At least maybe she hasn't come in yet and we just don't know. But I kind of just feel like she would have been involved already if she was a character, because of the fact that spoiler, Jay, a love interest for Leia, is Kelso's kid. So, and he's a son. So I'm just like, okay, well, if he's a part of the gang and he was not even involved in that 70's show, then why wouldn't they involve Brooke? I guess maybe it'll come up in the later seasons. Maybe, I don't know. I'm kind of hoping so, because I'm just like, that is a clear like bridge to that 70's show that they just chose not to do, and I'm just like, but why though? Is it because you couldn't find the right girl? Is it because you decided to just have a love interest for Leia that you decided to be Michael Kelso's kid? I don't know. That was one of my biggest gripes though, and of course it had spoilers, so I really couldn't put it in the original video. So that was my biggest one. One other really big one was the end of the season. It was a surprise that Leia went back with Donna to out of Point Place, like wherever her, Eric, and Donna are now. But I didn't expect her to leave Point Place. I honestly expected something to come up to where she'd stay at the end of the season. So now that she's left, I'm like, okay, so she'll just come back next summer. Really curious to see how that works out. I really want and hope that they continue on with the show and give it a little taste, give it a chance before they cancel it, because usually Netflix gives a show like 2 seasons, but they've also let a bunch of shows go that didn't need to keep going, in my opinion. So I'm really hoping that they decide to keep 90's show for at least one more season, just so we see how that's going to be done. One thing that really griped me was how the end of the season, they had Jay Kelso as Leia's love interest for like the majority of the 10 episodes. And then on the last episode, they kind of want to just bring in a little bit of drama and bring in like a connection, or all of a sudden a sudden connection with Nate, Gwen's brother, who has a girlfriend already. And I'm like, oh, okay, so you're just trying to start drama, and I get it, but it also seems like very unnecessary drama. I know that teenagers and their feelings are changing all of the time, but I kind of just feel like in the whole 10 episodes she was interested in Jay, how all of a sudden does she suddenly have a romantic connection with Nate? Make it make sense. I'm sorry, that was my biggest thing. I really want to see how it plays out in season 2 and how that works out, but I do just feel like that's just one unnecessary part of drama that they just didn't have to make. Especially since that 70's show had past drama with Jackie dating just about everybody in the group, and I didn't like that either. Like, I didn't like how they had her with Michael the whole time, and then all of a sudden they had her with Hyde, which I didn't see coming. They were cute when they had it, yes, so I wasn't really trying to like get too deep into hating them as a couple because they were cute. But then all of a sudden Hyde and Michael started fighting over her, and then I'm just like, oh god, this is why this shouldn't have worked out in the first place. And then all of a sudden, and on the last episode of the show, like the whole series, that 70's show, on the last episode, they have her end up with Fez, of all people. I was so mad. Like, I stay away from that last season because I feel like that last season is awful. First of all, they really tried to replace Eric with Randy, and I'm just like surprised that I even remembered his name. I felt like I had to look his name up because I forgot, and all of a sudden now it's just like embedded in my mind now. But I didn't like how they added Randy. No offense to Randy, but I just felt like his character was just too, it's like he wasn't even Eric enough. Like, I felt like in a way he was just too bland, to where even if you were trying to put him as a love interest for Donna, it just wouldn't have worked, and that's why it didn't work. His character was just too boring. Every first season has its gripes, especially when it comes to just introducing characters and introducing character dynamics, and especially with ensemble characters. There are so many dynamics that you have to highlight. So I'm sure that they're trying to do so much to show potential of the show so that they'll keep it. And I'm really hoping that Netflix decides to keep it. Fingers crossed. Netflix, if you're watching this, please do not cancel that 90's show before it has a chance. Let it at least have a second season so that we see what y'all came up with. Please. Please, y'all cancel so much. You didn't even give Julie and the Phantoms a second chance before you canceled it. So please don't cancel this one. So have you seen that 90's show? Comment below what you liked about it, and because I really want to know. So comment below your opinions on that 90's show if you've seen it, if you wanted to see it, and what you thought about the trailer. If you didn't see it but you saw the trailer, tell me what you've seen about it anyway. More shenanigans and shit coming up on Passion Tea this year, I promise you. So be sure to like this video and subscribe. And again, this is Passion Tea. I am Tay'Laur. You can call me Tay, and I will catch you next time.